Hello and welcome back to my channel, Stitch It with Rachel. My name is Rachel and this is Knitting Podcast episode number 10. It has been a little bit and I'm so sorry. This is supposed to come out in the beginning of November, which is already like kind of 2 months, which is longer than I like between podcasts. Then I had some technical issues. I've already recorded this whole podcast. It wouldn't upload. It was corrupted file. Anyways, so here we are again, but I haven't had time to record for 2 weeks. So now we're mid-November. So thanks for your patience. I'm glad you're here and let's just jump right into it. And I have, excuse me, I have a couple different things I'm really excited to talk to you guys about. Spoiler alert, I have started spinning. I am going to save that whole section like for the end of the video and I'll have it like labeled at the bottom of the video. So if you're not interested and you're just here for the knitting, you can just kind of peace out at the end before that gets started. Other than that, let's just get into it. Grab a cozy beverage, grab a project to stitch on, and let's talk about some knitting. So, the elephant in the room is what I'm wearing. This is my only finished object, and it is Goldwing by Jennifer Steingass. I don't think I even had the yarn for this project last time I talked to you guys. So, this was a very last minute purchase and cast on. This literally happened I think maybe a week after my like fall knitting plans video came out, which is really comical because like they're called plans but they're more like aspirations, I feel like. Because yeah, needless to say, my fall knitting plans have not been going according to plan, and instead this has been everything I've been thinking about and doing. So the yarn I did use spin cycle here. It'll be a little awkward, but let me kind of stand up, show you the spin cycle yarn here. And then this gorgeous kind of cranberry color, not my usual color palette. Also a moment for the sleeves, guys. A moment for the back of the dress. So much fun. This was my first colorwork sweater ever. It was one of my Make 9 goals for this year to knit colorwork sweater. And this wasn't the one I had planned on doing, but nonetheless it happened and I'm so excited to have it. This is not my usual color palette. I'm definitely a blues and greens kind of girl normally, but I'm really pleased with this like cranberry cabernet color up here and the kind of like pinks, greens, maroons that end up in the sweater here. Even a little tinge of like yellowy green in there, but I think it looks really pretty. I like it on, it fits really well, and it's nice to have something a little different in my wardrobe that's not a blue or a green sweater. The yarn, so spin cycle, but the only reason I purchased a sweater's quantity of spin cycle is because I went to a local fiber festival. I'd call it more of a market than a festival. It was pretty small, but it was really fun. And there was a the very first booth when we walked in was, I believe they're called Pearls Before Wine, and they have a brick and mortar store up in Washington, but they came down for this little festival and their brick and mortar store was closing and they had a custom colorway spin cycle for their store. Because the store's closing, they had it on a major discount. I got spin cycle for $20 a skein. $20, 20. So needless to say, that's how a sweater quantity ended up in my cart, and here we are. Normally I would have chosen spin cycle as like the colorwork yoke portion of a sweater, but actually the spin cycle was cheaper than this contrast color that I got there, and so also I just thought it would look so pretty the other way around, and I think I was right. So the cranberry colorway here is one of their other house yarns. It was the Pearls Before Wine like brand of yarn that I have milled for them specifically. I don't remember the fiber content, but it is so squishy and so nice. It was a lovely fiber to work with. I would have knit a whole garment out of this. It was so nice. The cranberry colored yarn is non-superwash. The spin cycle is superwash. Luckily though, I didn't have any issues in like the blocking process or knitting process with that. Normally I wouldn't combine the two, but I hand wash all of my sweaters anyways, so I'll never accidentally like wash this thinking it's superwash and then screw this up. So like, I'm not worried about that. And it is next to skin soft. I just have a bra underneath, that's it. Not even a tank top or anything. And it's so comfortable. It's so freaking pretty. I'm so proud of my first color work. This was just such a good time. And I bought the yarn. I came home. I cast on. Like, I was like, front porch sweater. Who? Snowflake scarf. What? Christmas presents. Huh? So this was just so much fun. I'll update, or I'll add the like Ravelry project page down below. But I believe I just followed the pattern exactly. I don't think I did anything differently. So yeah, it was a great pattern. I would knit another Stein-Guess pattern. I have a whole bunch of hers saved. I really like her very like kind of organic or geometric colorwork yokes. I just think they're really pretty and flattering. So like, would definitely knit another one of her patterns. Had a blast. Colorwork was easy and fun to do. It was just such a good time. And now I have a finished colorwork sweater in spin cycle. What? So good. So those are all the major points. I'm not sure if there's anything else to really say. So let's move on. Speaking of the forgotten front porch sweater, as soon as I bought this yarn, this got shoved in a corner and I didn't give it a second thought when the entire time this was on the needles. This is my first full, well actually it's just my first cabled sweater. I've knit cables in other things, but not in a sweater. She's gorge. I'm using a Drops Lima and the Ocean Deep Sea Mix, maybe? Again, project page details. I think last time I was still on the body, and like I still am technically. It's not, I just put it on, I actually left the needles down there instead of putting it on barber cord because I needed a different like length for the sleeve, so I just left these down there so I could pick it up again when I was ready. But I'm playing a little bit of yarn chicken, and I want to see, and my stitch count has been off for parts of this sweater, so I want to see after I knit the sleeves how much yarn I have left, and then knit the body, and if it's not long enough I can try to see if I can still get the same dye lot. If I can't get it, like buy it from Wool Warehouse or other Drops sellers, then I'll see if I can find it in someone's Ravelry stash if they'd be willing to sell it to me. Well, I'll worry about it when we get there. But picked up the sleeve, and now unfortunately I'm at the part where I need to start doing decreases, and I do not love the way sometimes that decreases in pattern look, like in cabled patterns. Sometimes I feel like they can look, or textured, or just any kind of like, anytime there's like a pattern and then you have to decrease in it, sometimes I feel like it can just look really messy. And like, okay, it's on the underside usually, but like, I don't know, I'm a perfectionist at heart, and it's just something that I don't love. So I think the instructions given the pattern, like they make sense, and some of the project pages, like they look good, but I just want to do a little investigation. Like, is there anything I can do to like make it look better, or like change things and do different decreases? I don't know. I just need to do a little research there because I want this to be perfect. Yeah, I don't want to like love the sweater but hate the sleeves. So I just want to like kind of figure that out and see. I could just start knitting the decreases and then put a stitch marker in the row I'm in now, and then if I don't like them, like rip back, but like I don't like to frog if I can avoid it, you know. So I would like to get back to this now that Goldwing is off the needles, but something else has kind of jumped in front of the line here, and it's a test knit I'm really excited to tell you about, but I'll add that at the end of the whip section here. So front porch sweater, still love her, still want her, chugging right along, kind of. We'll get back to her when I can. And if you have any recommendations for decreasing in pattern, like for this kind of thing, like in a cabled sleeve, please do drop your recommendations or insights down below. All right, next would be a new cast on since I've seen you last time. So if you've been on the channel for a while, you know I'm a huge fan of the Crayabea Rebecca Clow as a designer. Beautiful designs, always stays inclusive, like generally just seems like a stellar human. happy to support her with my money. So I had been eyeing the Affric sweater since she talked about it and then designed it initially on our podcast. I had bought the yarn because she released the like yardage requirements when Knitting for Olive was having their big sale for a fundraiser for Gaza. And so I bought yarn in the colors and quantities I knew I wanted for my size, so that way the day the pattern came out I could like cast on, and that's what I did. This was on the needles at the time, but I was just determined. I was like, no, I need to I want this. And this was my original plan to be my first colorwork sweater. Then, you know, this jumped in, and I am so happy with the colors. Oh, so good. So pretty. I'm using Harrisville Designs Highland, and it's definitely like a little rustic, but it softens and blooms really well with washing. And so like this is one I will definitely need to wear like an underlayer on, like a t-shirt or a long sleeve depending, but it's not so rustic that like I won't be able to wear it. Like it's just, and I am like sensitive, like I have sensitive skin and tend to be more sensitive to itchy things. So far I've really enjoyed working with Highland. It's my first time working with it. I think the colors are just gorgeous. This dark color, it kind of looks like a navy, but it's really like a deep tealy blue. It's called Loden Blue. And then I just have like a white cream, this like burnt orange sienna kind of color, and this like peacock turquoise. And what I'm going to do, there's 2 colorwork charts and they each repeat twice. So we have this one and then the other one, back to this one, back to the other one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch up the colors a little bit. So the orange and the blue in the next colorwork chart, I'm going to flip flop. So there's more of the blue and less of the orange, and then back to this one and vice versa again. And I think that'll just be fun and add a little, I don't know, just a little something. I think it'll be subtle enough that it'll still be like nice. Well, of course it's gonna be nice. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think hopefully maybe you know what I'm trying to say. It's just gonna maybe add a little pizzazz. We'll go with that. So I cast this on, I got through the first colorwork chart, I knit the next bit of stockinette, I'm ready to start the second colorwork chart, and it has been very patiently waiting for me. I literally cast this on like, I think like a Friday night, and then knit it Friday night and Saturday, and then by the following week I was back to this, and then I haven't touched it since. So I did cast on release day, but haven't gotten very far. It is like an Aran weight pattern, so it's going to knit up super quickly when I get time to get back to it. It is on 4.5 millimeter needles. I am following the pattern exactly so far. It's raglan, so shaping's really easy and comfortable. There was a little bit of short rows that were easy to do. Again, like Rebecca writes beautiful patterns, so no complaints there. So that is my Affric. So my second ever colorwork sweater. You can definitely say I am hooked on the colorwork. There's definitely going to be more in my future besides socks. So speaking of colorwork, different kind, not stranded colorwork, but my snowflake scarf progress. I did have this as a whip last time. I have not gotten much farther. Oh, it's turning, it looks so good. Hold on. I'm gonna lose stuff here. Love it. So this is my mom's Christmas present. Christmas is in like a month. It's supposed to be a scarf. Yeah, I don't think mom's getting this for Christmas, but it's been fun to work on. It's been challenging. Like, so this is my the first time I did double knitting was on my cardigan. She's step-by-step cardigan. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name. That had double knit button band, and so that was the first time I'd done double knitting, and it was so much easier than I thought. The button band was easy peasy, fun to knit. Actually, I know some people get annoyed by that, but I rather enjoyed it. Granted, Aran weight yarn. I don't know that I'd enjoy it in a smaller weight yarn for that volume. But so then I jumped into this colorwork double knitting, and this is just like literally magic. Like I don't know, like, how do people like figure this kind of stuff out? Like, it just amazes me. So I enjoy this, but the color chart, because it's not like some kind of geometric repeat the way like this yoke was, where I could do like, okay, it's 3 red and then white, red, white, and then 2 red, or whatever. Like there's, you know, so usually some kind of pattern that I can like memorize and then just chug along. This does not have that. Every row is different and there's no pattern to it. I mean, there's a pattern, but it's not, hey, sir. Sorry, my cat's trying to make muffins into my fiber. And I'm like, no, we will not be doing that. Thank you. So I just have to have like my full attention on this when I'm working on it. And like with the chart, like I cannot have the TV on. I can't really like be talking with other people. Like I really have to be like zoned in. And needless to say, I have not had a lot of that kind of time, or if I do have the time, I don't have like the energy, mental or physical energy to like do this. I just want like a stockinette project. So this has not gotten the love it should have. It's not going to be ready in time for Christmas. Luckily my mom's okay with that. She knows she's getting this. It'll get there when I get there. Maybe it'll be next Christmas, who knows. But I would still like to make some progress on it. She did also tell me that when I'm done with this color brick chart, I'm about halfway through. So there's this big snowflake, there's like one more big snowflake and a couple other little ones. So I could stop the color work chart and just knit the double knitting. So I would have all of the blue ombre on one side and white on the other, so it'd be solid color. And then when I got around to the other end of the scarf, do the color work chart again. Because really, when the scarf's wrapped around, you don't really see, it's all scrunched up and bundled, but the ends are what you really see. And so that would make this significantly easier and faster to knit. So strongly considering that. Sorry, another cat's he's looking like he wanted to jump onto the table that the camera was on. And I was like, that's really not a good idea. He's laid back down. Anyways, so not a ton of progress. I would like to make more. I have been enjoying this. It's been a fun like brain challenge, you know what I mean? Like I just haven't really had the energy for that kind of knitting lately. So that's that. Those are all of my active whips really. I do still have a pair of socks in the background that I occasionally, they're my, oh my god, I passed my registry exam socks that I did not finish from summer sock boot camp. And I just finally cast on the cuff a couple weeks ago for the second sock, and I'm like still in the ribbing on the cuff, so like barely anything's been done. That's just hanging out in the background kind of when I have time or in between stages of other projects kind of thing. So my next hopeful whip, and really this one's gonna be backburned because of the chestnut I'm gonna tell you about after this, but I had plans to knit the Sirena sweater with all of this gorgeous sheer yarn by Harrisville Designs. It's a woolen spun merino dorset. It's just stunning. And I actually went to like look at the details of the pattern again, and it turns out that Sirena sweater by Cookie the Knitter is not actually size inclusive. And it's kind of a principle of mine, like I'm not gonna knit patterns that aren't size inclusive. Like if you're not gonna support me, why would I support you, kind of thing. And it's just like a personal choice. But it's so annoying because she was like literally one size off from being, and the way that the pattern's designed with the moss stitch down the sides, like it could have easily been graded to a larger size. And it's a drop shoulder design, it would not have been difficult. Granted, I've never actually fully graded one, so take that with a grain of salt. But from what I understand about grading and sweater design, as I've gotten into some of these things myself, like there's no reason it couldn't have been up one more size. So frustrated and annoyed by that because the pattern's stunning. I love it. I would love to knit it. And like technically I could get away with knitting it, but again, on principle, I'm just not going to. So I still want a gorgeous classic creamy cabled Aran fisherman kind of sweater. And so I kind of went on the hunt and I just didn't find any that were what I wanted that were also size inclusive. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it myself. So I went to my local library, bless the local libraries, and I got a ton. I'm looking at my stack of books over there right now. Like every Stitch dictionary they had, cable source book, like sweater design book, like I got them all out and I've been pawing through them and like knitting up so many swatches. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 swatches, and then these 2 in my hands here, so 6, 7. And have been like slowly like working away at like charting the cables I want to design my own sweater. I'm gonna do a drop shoulder. They're pretty easy if you do like a true drop shoulder, like you do some short row shaping on one side, but other than that it's like 2 squares rectangles, and then you attach the sleeves. So like design wise, like wrapping my brain around that was pretty easy, especially when adding, like it's not stocking at like adding cables and stuff in there too. So I thought that was just a good choice, as well as that's kind of the look I want. I want that like boxy, oversized, cozy goodness. So I still really wanted that gorgeous like diamond motif, and so I knit this swatch, and the yarn bloomed so beautifully. It's so nice. And I can never remember, moss stitch or seed stitch. So like I did a row, so it's knit purl, 1 by 1 knit purl, and then it's the same on the other side, like so that you have 2 knits in a row and 2 purls on top of each other, and then you switch. So whichever one that one is, because I can't remember. I think the texture came out really nice. These is just pearls for the background, and this diamond cable I'd never done before. It was actually really easy and really fun. So I'm planning like 3 to 4 big diamonds down the center, very much like Rory Gilmore inspired sweaters, what I'm going for here. And then here's another swatch with some other cables that I've tried. I'm not sure which one's the right direction. I don't love the way this horseshoe looks, like at this gauge and stuff, and I tried another swatch with a smaller horseshoe, like with less stitches, and I didn't really like how that looked either, which I'm a little bummed because I like the idea of horseshoe. But so I won't be using that one. I will definitely be using this like classic twist. And then these are, there's 2 of them together, and I'm only gonna do 1, but it's a right twist. So it's just a nice little like border stitch kind of. So what I'm thinking right now is this main diamond down the center, and then one of these border stitch little right twist things right after it, and then like I want 3 cables, I think, at least 2, maybe 3. So this classic twist, I think I want a classic braid, and then I also have like a mock cable that I had and another swatch that I can't currently find right now, that I really liked. And so I'm just kind of playing around with that. I'm doing stitch counts so I can figure out what my cast on needs to be. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna knit this bottom up actually, which I've never knit anything bottom up, but it's like it actually like makes more sense for me, because then I don't have to do any math until I get to here. And that's actually like I kind of already have it figured out, and I could reverse engineer what I figured out to knit it top down, but we'll see. I'm undecided on that right now. So working away on that, swatching, and really excited to go on this little self-design adventure with this. It really like scratches an itch in my brain and my like creative like space up here, and it's a lot of fun. And it's gonna be so cool to just not only have like a hand knit cable sweater, but be like, oh hey, I designed it. Like that's just really fun. So that's floating around in the background, definitely on the back burner for right now. I'm gonna have to actually, some of my library books are overdue, so I need to like take what I need from them and then return those, and I will continue working on this when I have time. And again, that might be a little while because I signed up for a test knit, which I had absolutely no business doing. It was actually one of my 2026 knitting goals to do a test knit, but the Crayabea, here she goes again, had designed a sweater called the Ariandel, which is stunning. I will put a picture of her sample up here. And it's just this gorgeous like 1 by 1, 2 by 2 like rib cable textured yoke situation. Starts off as a round yoke, then has some raglan for like better fit, and it's just gorgeous. It's like a simple everyday but a little something. I just like fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. And I'm on her newsletter, and when the newsletter came out that she needed test knitters for the Ariandel, I was like, I need it. I need it now. I have no business signing up for a test knit, but I did. And partially out of it, like, I've never done a test knit before. And so I was like, and she's popular enough. She gets so many applicants. I'm like, she's probably not even going to pick me. Like, we'll just put it in there and I probably won't get it and I'll move on and I'll, you know, go back to knitting my friend Porch sweater. Well, I got it. I got selected for the test knit, which is super exciting. I'm really excited to get to test knit for like one of my favorite designers. And also this pattern is stunning and I'm so excited to have it. So I have swatched. This is not actually the color I'm going to end up with, but it's the yarn I'm going to use. And I made a little teeny tiny swatch of the texture. I should have done a bigger one, but you can kind of see. And it like, it's gonna be so pretty. So this is 100% Shiniko wool. It's by Trilogy Yarns. It's my local yarn store owner's yarn brand. And this is a new base she's trying out, and she asked me if I would want to use it in a sweater pattern. It just so happens to be the weight I need for this test knit, and so the yarn is going to be sponsored, which is just really cool and really exciting. And I'm so excited. This yarn, this base is just scrumptious. It's a 3-ply DK weight, I think 260 yards per 100 grams ish, and it knit up like a dream. The stitch definition is incredible, and it's soft, it's squishy, it's bouncy. I'm just, I love it. This is my first time knitting with Shiniko. Really loving it. So really excited to get this knit up in like full sweater form. This was like accidental color she did in the dye pots. She's not going to replicate it. She didn't like it. I think it's pretty, but so I got a gorgeous silvery like gray blue color. We're shocked, I know. And I should hopefully be getting that like in the next couple of days, because we're about 2 weeks into the test knit, and so I'm still waiting on that. But I hit gauge perfectly with this, so super excited to get that yarn in my hands and get that test knit going on my needles. Once the yoke is done, it's just stockinette, which is gonna be really nice to have a stockinette project, and it's just going to fly off my needles when I get there. So as long as I can get through the yoke, and I have until January 28th for the test knit, which is amazing. Crayabea does 12-week test knits, which is incredible. So not only is she size inclusive size-wise, but also like her test knits are size inclusive. You know what I mean? It takes longer to knit the size 9 than it does the size 1. So that is my soon-to-be next whip that I'm really excited about, and my first ever test knit. So that is all of my knitting stuff. I have had some acquisitions, but it's been long enough and there's kind of been enough of them that I'm not going to get into them here. So next I'm going to talk about is Fiber Love Retreat. I had the opportunity to go to this retreat up in McCall, Idaho in September. It was incredible. If you are in the Pacific Northwest, this is amazing. You want to come to this. Like, I had so much fun. It was my first ever knitting retreat, and I'm like, it's in my calendar for next year. I'm going to go probably every year, as long as I can swing it like schedule wise and whatever. So I'm super excited for that. Had so much fun. It's held at a like summer camp, but in September, so like it's just, they like rent it out for retreats and other things too. So like mess hall, there were dorm rooms, there were cabins, you could bring a trailer and like plug it in if you had one of those. There was even like a hotel, not a hotel, but like a fancier, it was made to have like hotel like rooms, right? So there's lots of different like sleeping options, and the lake's right there. You can take the kayaks out, you can go swimming. The weather was stunning, the water was delightful and just clear and beautiful, and it was so good. But besides the incredible like scenery and place, the actual retreat was so much fun. So there were so many classes you could sign up for while you were there, and I signed up for 2. The really cool thing is that the classes are just included in the price of the retreat, and the retreat was somewhere right around $500 for the weekend. That's your stay, your classes, your food, like that's everything. And it was, I think, a great price, and I will definitely be going again. I totally just lost my train of thought because then I tangented. The classes. So the classes are included, and the classes are taught by fellow camp goers, which is so cool. Like, you're learning from your community, like, which I feel like is so much what the knitting / fiber arts community is all about, which was really fun. And I do, like, you know, they call it Fiber Love Retreat, like knitters, crocheters, spinners, like whatever fibery thing you were into, like, you were welcome to come and enjoy. And there were a bunch of different classes, and it was so good. So I signed up for 2 classes. I did yarn dyeing and a drop spindle. So the yarn dyeing did have an additional cost because you just had to pay for the yarn you were then going to dye. But it was $25 and then $20 for any additional skeins, which really I'm going, that's pretty good. So, and Sarah from Teton Yarn Company taught this, and I had so much fun. I think she did a great job. And I dyed up this gorgeous little skein of sock yarn. So this is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, just a classic sock blend. And of course, they're in a Rachel color palette. And I am so excited to knit this up into a pair of socks to then get to wear to the retreat next year. Yeah, super fun. Would definitely love to like dye more stuff in the future, but I'm like, one thing at a time, Rachel. I do not currently have the space or storage or anything capacity to add something like this to my repertoire, but had an absolute blast. Definitely plan to take the class again next year, but I want to go in with a plan, like, because you can dye as many skeins as you want, basically as you can in the time limit of the class. And so I'd like to go in with a plan to dye maybe like 3 or 4 fingering weight skeins to use in like a shawl pattern, like pick a pattern out, kind of know whether I want variegated, tonal, you know what I mean, and then dye up those colorways to then knit it. So super excited about that. That was so much fun. And then the next thing I learned was the drop spindle class. And I've kind of had an itch to, this is where we transfer from like Fiber Love Retreat into like talking about spinning. So if you're not about the spinning, thanks so much for being here. So took the drop spindle class. It was really cool. There was no cost associated with this one, and she helped you like build your own spindle with like a dowel, some CDs, a little like screw hook. So that was really fun. And then she brought her own fiber from her sheep. It was Cormo, wool top, was really nice. And we got to spinning, and I was like, okay, this is fun, but like I need more. Like I just knew I wanted to get my hands on a wheel. I've kind of had an itch for it for probably almost a year at this point, but I had never really had the opportunity, the person, the know-how, or you know what I mean? Like I just wasn't introduced to it, or it didn't seem like available to me. And so after the drop spindle class, and like it was fun, but it was definitely like, I don't want to keep spinning on this, like I want to try a wheel. So luckily we were at this like incredible retreat with all these amazing fiber artists who are so like, you could just walk up to anybody and like chat with them and be friends, and oh my god, I love your sweater, what yarn did you use, you know, like, oh, is that a Jennifer Stein gas, or you know, like it was so good. So I went up to someone who I know I had seen spinning, had her wheel out on the porch the whole weekend. And she was helping one of the volunteers for it as well, and so I knew her name, and so I was like, hey Amanda, by any chance, I just took this drop spindle class, I really want to try a wheel, could I like use yours to just kind of test it out and see if I like it, kind of thing. And she was so sweet and kind. She was like, oh my god, I literally just finished a bobbin and like I'm done, I'm not gonna spin anymore for the rest of the night, you can totally like try it out. And then she's like, actually Teresa, who taught me how to spin a couple years ago, is here, let me get her, she could show you the ropes. Like it was this whole thing, and it was so cute. And they were just so amazing. And so I spun my very first yarn on a wheel there real quick. Actually, here it is. So this was what I had spun on the drop spindle. It's still a single ply. And I'm probably just gonna leave it like this. It's not enough to do anything with, but it was fun, and it's a cool little, like, this is my starting point. And then on the wheel, I spun this. And really, I feel like for being my first ever skein of yarn, it's a lot less thick and thin than I was expecting. There's a little of it still, but like I'm just really kind of impressed that like this is what I managed on like my first ever spin. And needless to say, I got bit by the bug. I was hooked. I was like, okay, how do I get me one of these? I'm like, I know they're expensive. I'm not really sure I can afford that right now. Yada, yada, yada. And so they were like, well, you can join the local Fiber and Weavers Guild or Spinning and Weavers Guild. They do like equipment rentals. And so I signed up and became a member of the guild. They had 2 wheels available for rental. One of them was already taken out, so I got the other. It was a Louette, very well-loved, rickety Louette, but she got the job done. So I came home after the retreat, got the rental wheel, and then I got to spinning. I got sent home with some fiber from the retreat. Let me see here. So at the retreat, there was a table in the back that was a free like de-stash table, so people could just drop off stuff they haven't wanted anymore, whether it's patterns, yarn, needles, any other related accessories, yarn winders, like. And so Amanda had grabbed some fiber from the de-stash table, and I was asking all these questions about like, what do I buy? Where do I buy it? What's good for beginners? What's a staple length? Like just fully like all the questions a beginner has. And she's like, you know what? I just grabbed these from the free table. I don't actually need any more fiber. My fiber stash at home is quite large. Why don't you take these home and play with them? And then, you know, gave me some recommendations for some other like types of fiber and places to buy them, that kind of thing. So the second thing I ever spun was a bat from Fantastic Fibers, I think is what it was called. Hey, don't you be making muffins in my fiber, sir. Thank you. The business is no longer active, but it was a mystery bat, and I will put a picture up of what the bat looked like if I can, if I still have pictures of it. And so I spun that up. It was challenging. It's very different from the comb top I first learned on at the retreat. And so there was some learning curves to that. I think normally you would do more of a woolen spun style for that. I was doing short forward. I still am right now. Anyway, so it was an adventure, and like the bat had different fibers and like staple lengths. So sometimes I would be like doing just fine, like going right along, and then it'd be like whoop, like there'd be a short one and I'd overdraft and it would break, and then I'd have to rejoin, and or like there was a chunk of like thicker or like little silks or something that was like hard to pull apart, and there'd be a big chunk or nip, or anyways. So it was an adventure, but in the end, I got this. So my second ever skein of yarn. I actually really like how this turned out. Like a little thick and thin, but it's not overspun, which is really nice. I definitely had a little overspin in my first skein. The colors are really fun. And it's like there's enough here to do something with. I don't know the yardage. I do have I bought myself a nitty naughty, and I wound it up, and I wrote down the number somewhere, and I lost it. So I will have to like rewind it, or no, I don't actually. I just have to count the strands. So once I figure that out, like I would be willing to like knit with this. I just have no idea what I would do. So maybe I'll just keep it in my stash forever as like, you know, a couple first skeins of yarn I ever spun. I don't know, but that was a lot of fun. So we're just throwing yarn around here. Anyways, I can't reach that. First and second skeins of yarn. And then after that, so I kind of had 2 projects that I started kind of at the same time. So I then have a braid that was gifted from the de-stash table. It was like, it looked like it was maybe like dyed at home, like someone bought undyed fiber and then dyed it at home. Didn't like how the colorways turned out. They also like the water was too hot and the fiber got a little like felted and compacted. But so I spun, like separated that to do a 3-ply. I ended up doing a 2-ply, and that yarn I just did, that was also a 2-ply. So started that, and then my Louette, my rental wheel, died. The little like rubber cylinder that attaches the treadle to the little stick thingy I don't know all the words yet, broke. Which there's replacements for them. It's like, because it's rubber, like at some point it'll wear out, get dry and brittle or whatever. So like it was easy to replace, but the lady through the guild who does it like didn't have any on hand, had like it was like 2 weeks by the time she was actually ready to like take it and help me fix it. And in those 2 weeks I decided I needed my own spinning wheel. So I started hunting and searching, and I finally found one on Facebook Marketplace that I felt I could afford. It's an Ashford traditional. I got it for 400 bucks. It was like barely used. She's in great condition, and I named her Maleficent, or Mel for short. And she's been fantastic. So I had started that braid, and then when my wheel came, I had bought fiber online from Etsy, and I was like, well, I don't know if there's a difference wheel to wheel, and I have this new shiny fiber. So I cast on something else instead of finishing that braid. And so I did some Icelandic wool, and this was challenging and also really fun. So this is a very long staple length. It was like a 6-inch staple length that I measured from what I pulled out. And it's definitely, it's weird because it's like rustic and soft. So like the looser spun chunkier is softer, and the thinner spun is just, it's not ropey, but could very easily become ropey. Like I think if there was any more twist on this, it would be ropey. So this, I wasn't supposed to get 2 completely different skeins, but the first, I want to say spindle, bobbin, there we go. First bobbin I spun, big learning curve, like very thick and thin, struggling, you know what I mean? So that's what this skein turned into. I just plied it on itself. And then by the second bobbin, I got like a better handle on like the staple length and how to draft it. And so I ended up with this thinner, much more consistent one. And I wonder, I hope you can see the halo, like all the fuzz here. Very fuzzy. I mean, it looks like, I feel like if you knit with it, it would look like it was knit with mohair, like very fuzzy. So this was really fun. I don't know, like I would not be able to wear this. This would be very itchy to me. So I don't know that I'll ever actually do anything with these. They might just sit in my stash as like part of my journey, you know what I mean? But they were fun and I learned a lot. So the braid that I started but then didn't finish because I did that, I then got out and finished. And this is my skein of that yarn, and this is really soft. I think this might have been a merino or some other, like very soft. Once I was able to kind of like loosen it and pull it apart. I think the colors turned out really fun. This one again, a little thick and thin, but like not bad. And then this was a 2-ply, and then at the end I had some left on 1 bobbin. And so I decided to try chain plying. Also towards the end of that bobbin, it was my second bobbin, and so I'd gotten a little thinner, a little more consistent, and so I just chain plied it, and I think it turned out so cute. I hope that's focusing. And like actually pretty consistent. Like that looks actually like a pretty good 3-ply. Like what? Like I would knit with that. Like that's like, I'm just like so like impressed and proud with myself. I don't know, this has been so much fun. So these guys got done. Again, no idea if or what I'll ever do anything with them. They're just part of the journey, part of the learning process. Had a ton of fun, really pleased with how they turned out. And also chain plying is not that hard. And so now I have that skill too. So that's really fun. So that is all the fiber that I currently have. I'm going to show you my bobbins of my next spin. Oh, the colors are so freaking pretty. So I bought this fiber from Etsy. It was, the dyer is a Gem Fiber Arts, and it's 100% Polworth. I really like Polworth. It's soft, it's got a good staple length, it's squishy. Like, I'm really excited to see this plied up, but the spinning of it has been absolutely delightful. I separated this into 3 different chunks to be a 3-ply fractal for my first ever fractal spin. I'll put a picture up of what the braid looked like before I took it apart and started spinning it. And so far I'm almost done with my third bobbin. Why can't I remember that word today? So I'm almost done with it, and I just kind of want to show you. I don't know if I'm gonna like how thin I'm able to get this right now. Like, I've literally been spinning for like a month, and so this, and like like it's consistent through the bobbin like this. There's little bits here and there maybe where I joined and it's a little thick or something, but like overall it's really consistent, and I'm super excited. And with a 3-ply too, any little inconsistencies are gonna get melded and blended out, and like it's hand spun. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's not supposed to look like commercial yarn, right? Like I have to remind myself of that. But I'm really excited to basically like be making my own spin cycle. And you bet I have been looking at all the patterns to knit with this kind of hand spun yarn. I have my eyes on quite a few. So that is all of my current spinning progress. And I am diving so deep into this hole. I'm having so much fun, and I'm so excited to keep learning and spinning and growing and knitting with my hand spun and just going down this little fibery rabbit hole. I do want to show you, I have just like 3 small acquisitions to show you, and then we're gonna be done. I forgot to mention, at the Fiber Love Retreat we had our own private market, which was amazing. It was there was probably like 15 vendors, maybe more, 15 to 20, somewhere's right around that, and a little bit of everything. So obviously like fiber, yarn, notions, project bags, like lotions and goat milk, butters and soaps, and like just all the things you could want. And the yarn selection was fun. I bought yarn. I bought more than I intended to, but I also bought fiber, so that last night of the retreat I was spinning on that wheel and I came across Sarah of Teton Yarns, and she also sells hand-dyed fiber. I didn't buy any at the market because I hadn't taken the class yet, and like I don't want to buy it and then maybe not enjoy it and not use it, and I was like you know, but I also really wanted to buy some while I was there. Anyways, so I ran into Sarah later on. I was like, Sarah, oh my god, by any chance, like, have you fully packed up the truck? Do you have any fiber? Like, could I still buy some from you? Like, I've fallen in love here. I definitely want some, you know. So I got this gorgeous 8-ounce braid of Cormo. Oh, she's gorgeous. Sarah definitely takes after my own heart in her color palette with Teton Yarn Company. So I bought this gorgeous, soft, luscious, chunky, colorful braid, and I'm so excited to spin it up. I want to spin something that I can then wear next year to the retreat, and I don't know what that's going to be yet, but super excited to get to that. I haven't spun it yet because I want to kind of have a project in mind, so I like spin it at the correct like weight and ply, twist, all that kind of thing. So I'm kind of holding on to that because it's a little bit special. And then when I bought from a gem Fiber Arts, and here's her label, I got this skein as well. Look at those colors. There's her label. And this is also Polworth, and I'm really excited to spin this up. I have no idea what I'm gonna make with it, but it's just so gorgeous. I feel like I could maybe do a brioche situation. If I do a fractal spin with this too, maybe that could be really fun, but super excited about that one. And then lastly, I got a braid from my local yarn shop from a local dyer called Havesome Yarn. Get their cute little puppy label in there. And then this was in the colorway Tide Pool. Really fun. And this one is merino, and I haven't knowingly spun with merino yet. I don't know if that other braid was merino. And so it's a little shorter staple length. They generally don't recommend beginners start with that, but I definitely have the point now where I'm like, I want to try it and see if I like it. And so I got this to try that out. So that is actually everything now. Thank you. If you are still here, thank you so much for being here, for sticking around in between my lapses of podcasts and things like that. And I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you guys hopefully sooner. I'm aiming for about another month.